Welcome back to the Ultimate Wellness Group. Today we're discussing the positive hormones that are a response to our daily activities. So for this discussion, I'm going to keep it to the three most common. There are plenty of neurotransmitters. Neuro meaning the brain, transmitter meaning, messaging between two different things. That can also be a hormone. Those terms can be interchanged in the way that the body works. So today we're going to discuss serotonin, epinephrine, and dopamine. Those would be the three main ones that people would call the positive brain hormones or the positive brain neurotransmitters. So I remember, I think I was in kindergarten when I saw my first friend get killed. And I remember after going to the funeral, the wake and the funeral, my mother told me that it looked like I was kind of out of it and really not myself for about a week or two. And then I kind of rebounded and got back to being my normal self. And that is a normal reality. When we see something violent or we have a negative situation happen in our life, it's normal to have a response. It's normal to become depressed if your father, your mother, a loved one dies. But the abnormality is when that continues on and on and on and on and on, and you don't get over it. That's the abnormality. But to have a depressed time after a death or after a major negative, like a bad automobile accident, or you lose a job, or your wife had a miscarriage, or a woman loses her child, a man and a woman lose their child, or a person has something that they were trying to achieve, or they had a goal they were trying to reach, and something happened and just stopped that from happening. Those are negatives in life that should have a period of time where a person is kind of, not necessarily themselves. They have a somewhat of a negative response, and it can be seen in their activity and their actions and the way they went away from their normal activity. And then if you contrast that and you say, a person wins a small child wins a soccer game, or a small boy, a small girl, they're on a baseball team and they won the championship, or you are a young girl, young boy, and you are at your first concert and you really rocked it. You feel great. You graduate from high school. You get accepted to the college that you want to go to. There's a girl at the school that you like, and you approach her and she actually got some little bit of love for you. Those things make you feel good. Why do they make you feel good? Because those hormones that we have circulating in our bodies actually produce and are part of the emotional response of happiness and being glad. And also there are ones that are behind the being sad and being depressed. There are hormones behind that, neurotransmitters behind it. That's why when you go to a doctor for those type of issues, they give you medications that deal with serotonin or norepinephrine or epinephrine. These medications that will block the uptake so that you have more of that in your brain. Well, the real benefit to having your normal positive hormones, neurotransmitters circulating in your brain and keeping you on that positive note and that positive feeling and that high that you get when you do something good for people and you didn't want anything in return. Producing those hormones on a regular basis is to have continuous, long-standing, over and over and over again, doing things that have you interacting with people that will give you that. If you're driving down the street, your car is working fine, and you pass by somebody and they have a flat tire, let's say an old lady, an older lady, an older man, an older couple, and you stop and you get out, take of your time to go and change that tire for that person. I mean, I've had this happen. I pulled over one day. This old lady was on the highway, her car broke down. I saw her standing there looking at the tire. When I pulled over, went and changed the tire for her. And after I finished, she tried to hand me a $20 bill, and I said, "Ma'am, I don't want your money. I didn't stop to do this because I wanted you to pay me. I stopped because I knew I could stop and help you." And I felt so good after doing that. It's kind of like got back in my car and started driving. Whatever was bothering me, whatever I was thinking about, whatever was causing me any type of, let's say, anxiety, I felt to a certain degree kind of like this euphoria after doing that. And that is what those positive hormones will do in your brain. They are what is behind that great feeling. They are behind those emotions. There's always some type of hormone, some neurotransmitter behind an emotion. They don't just happen just out of nothing. That's a physical reality in response to some interactions that were happening in the brain, in the body. And so that brings me to our watching of television, our watching of movies, and our children playing these video games. We have to be very careful with our children what we are exposing them to, because some of the things that these movies, televisions, and video games will deaden us to will decrease their interactive ability as they get older. So think about this. You're watching a movie, you're watching a television program, and you can't have a response to what you see. But if you were in that same situation in reality, you would probably do something. Perfect example. During Hurricane Harvey here in Houston, my mother told me she was watching the coverage on CNN like 5, 6, 7 days in a row. And at the end of those days, she was feeling just drained and felt depressed and didn't feel like her normal self, didn't have a normal energy level, just kind of felt different. And so I was describing to her that just because you're looking at people that are in need and you're being inundated with this information, but you didn't do anything about it. See, I was here in Houston and we went out and we started trying to do things to help people. Or you might be tired and you don't like the scenes that you see, but the fact that you went out there and did something combats the negativity. So now you put your body back into somewhat of a balance. And so when you're watching these television shows and these people make you cry and these people make you get angry, you can get all types of different types of emotions from a television program. But because you are not able to do the response that you would do if you were really with that person, then you're now left in limbo because the negativity happened, but you didn't get the response and have those normal hormonal balances that take the negative and bring it back into somewhat of a place of retraction. Because that's what happens if you are inundated with negativity all the time. Why would you not be in a negative state of mind? Just as if you were inundated with positivity all the time, why would you not be in a positive state of mind? So this bipolar reality that a lot of people are saying now, and it wasn't even a term years ago, but bipolar, anxiety, and depression, that's a normal aspect of life. If you're driving down the road and you see something bad happen, you could be depressed, and you drive down the street and see something else happen good, you could be excited. Bipolar as a diagnosis is something to consider, but every day we go through things that take us up, take us down. But it's always the interaction. It's always the ability to do something about what you have just been exposed to that puts the body back in balance from a mental perspective. So depression and anxiety and bipolar and most of these, what they call mood disorders, can be influenced greatly by what you do and how much time you interact with nature and how much time you interact with exercise. That's a very important aspect of mood stabilization. But the biggest part of why I wanted to do this video is the abnormal reality of watching movies and watching television and children playing these video games where there is no reality that you can do something to bring that balance back. It's one-sided. And a lot of times we're watching television every day. The children are watching television every day, playing video games every day on their little whatever type of contraptions they have, and just playing these games and locked in long periods of time. That is not normal to brain functioning. Brain functioning has to be balanced like everything else in the body. You eat some food, you do physical activity, keeps you from getting too overweight. The brain, influx of positive information, good, influx of negative information, has to be balanced with something that brings it back to a place of what we call homeostasis, where all the body systems can come back and say, okay, we got things back where they need to be. Good, bad, negative, positive, brings the body back to where it needs to be. So I hope I gave you a little insight into some of the positive hormones and how they work. And of course, there's plenty of information that you can research yourself. If you have any questions, you can send those to me. Thank you for tuning in to the Ultimate Wellness Group.